friends, welcome back to my channel. So today we're sitting down and we're talking about my favorite palettes from each brand that I own. If I own more than one from that brand, like the brands that I only own one palette from, I did not include because then obviously that would be my favorite from that brand because I only own one. But all of these I own more than one, some of them only two, some of them a lot, and it was pretty hard to choose what palette I wanted to pick as my favorite. But I got a lot of really awesome palettes here to talk to you about. A lot of them are not going to be a surprise if you watch my videos. These are palettes that I have been raving about for a very long time and I love all of them. So before we get started, if you like this video while you're watching it, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel out. And other than that, if you're excited and you want to see my #1 favorite palette from each different brand that I own, let's go ahead and get started. If the lighting in this video is a little wonky, I am sorry about that. It is so gray and rainy out here today. We've been so lucky with the weather these last couple weeks, and now Mother Nature has like woken up and she's like, you guys are in November. You're supposed to not have nice weather. And that's what she's delivering. So it is like a very gray, rainy, cold, all the things. So the lighting is a little jacked up. I figured we would just go in order of alphabetical. That would probably be the most logical thing to do. So we're going to start off with Anastasia Beverly Hills and the palette that I have on my eyes today. Did I plan that? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did go ahead and do a Shop My Stash Get Ready With Me. That should be my next video up. So be on the lookout for that so you can see all of the goodies that I used to get this look right here. But the Primrose palette, I own how many? I want to say like 10 ABH palettes, and this one is just the best in my humble opinion. First of all, the packaging is just cute, and then the inside shades, you guys. Everything about this palette is just so stinking pretty. The mattes blend together like a dream. I will say they show up on my eyes a little bit deeper than they look in the pan. That could just be a me thing, a skin tone thing, but the mattes go pretty rich and deep. The shimmers also, you have some deeper ones and then some lighter ones here. These two blushes are beautiful. You can use these as eyeshadows if you need to, or also as blushes. It's a typical ABH quality where the mattes are gonna be pretty powdery, so definitely be careful. It's gonna have some kick up in the pan, but if you tap your brush off, it won't have a lot of fallout on the face. And then these shimmers, they are thick, a little on the chunky side, but if you just press in very lightly and use some glitter primer or some sort of tacky base or spray your brush with a setting spray, they will adhere to your eyes in the most absolutely beautiful, stunning way possible. The shimmer I have on my eyes today is this one right here called Rose Water. Just everything about this palette, every time I use this palette, I absolutely love my look. I feel so pretty in it. This is my favorite ABH palette ever. So good. Then we have BH Cosmetics. I know that they got bought out by Makeup Revolution. Some of their palettes are still available. Some of them are not. If this one is still available, I will have it linked down below for you guys. I'll have all of these linked down below if they're still available. But my choice for the BH Cosmetics is Smitten in Switzerland. Oh, this palette is just so good. I have 4 ABH palettes. And honestly, I love, did I say ABH? I think I did. I have 4 BH Cosmetics palettes and I love all of them, truly I do. But this one, something about this color story is just so good. It's rich and it's deep and it's got some different tones. You have some of these berries, you have some more neutral, you have some greens if you want, this pop of orange, this blue, these silvers, everything about this palette. I feel like it's really versatile and the quality is top notch. Mattes are blendable, silky, smooth. The shimmers are very impactful on your eyes. Plus it's BH, so it's a pretty affordable palette. I want to say these retail for $16 for 16 shades. $1 a shade, I feel like that is a great deal. Like I said, I don't know if it's still available, but I know BH has been like coming out with new stuff, even though they got bought out by Makeup Revolution. So I'm hoping that they're not going anywhere and they are going to be releasing new products and, you know, they're sticking around because I really do love this brand, especially this palette. Then we got ColourPop, you guys. I could not choose any other palette besides That's Taupe. This palette has such a special place in my heart. It is the most beautiful, perfect, cool tone, neutral palette. The packaging is really, really cute. I don't like snakes. They're kind of scary. Although I like snakes more than spiders. I would choose a snake over a spider. I know that sounds crazy, but I would. But the packaging is just cute and reflective and just cute. What else can I say? But the inside, these shades are so stinking good. I bought a backup. I have a backup palette back there in my backup stash because I hit pan on this shade. And this one is super, super powdery. So like, I'm not sure what's going on with that. None of the other mattes are that powdery. And I'm 99% sure I bought this palette for my mom and she said hers is the same way. So it must just be how they had to formulate this Python shade, but I didn't want to run out of this shade. And I know ColourPop is the type of brand that just gets rid of things all the time. And I knew if they got rid of this and I didn't have a backup, I would be so sad. But that's how much I love it. I don't buy backups in eyeshadow palettes because why would I, kind of thing. Like, I have so many that the chance of me going through a palette and using the whole thing up is slim to none. But I had to have a backup in this one. That's how much I love it. I'm probably going to say the same thing for all of these palettes. The mattes are buttery, smooth, and the cool tone of this is just so good. And then these shimmers. This middle one right here called Snake Eyes is like my favorite shimmer ever. Not ever, that's a lie, but one of my favorites ever. This one is really pretty as well. This one is a super shock, so it adds just a little extra va-va-voom and sparkle to your look. If you like cool tones and then neutrals, which I feel like who doesn't like neutrals, you know what I mean? This is such a good palette. Then we have M Cosmetics. The only eyeshadow palettes that she has released thus far in her brand are these Divine Skies eyeshadow palettes, and then she has quite a few different color stories. I do own 3 of them. I have a Rodin, I also have Venetian Rose, and then this one right here called Magic Hour. This eyeshadow palette is so good. It's like a peachy pink lover's dream. I don't want to say that the quality is different on the other 2 that I have, but the quality seems to be different on the other 2 that I have. This one is the first one I bought from them, and then I bought did I buy the other 2? I feel like Venetian Rose might have been sent to me in PR, and then I bought the Rodin one, and then I bought this one. So something about those other 2 are just not as good in my opinion. These mattes are some of the most butteriest mattes that I have ever used. They are so smooth. They are never chalky. They are never patchy. And then the shimmers are very intense in like the best way possible. They are still wearable. Like, I don't want you to think they're too intense that you couldn't pick this palette up and wear it to work or something like that. You definitely can still like subdue and sheer them out, but if you want to pack them on and make a punch, you can do that as well. The color story on this is just so small and curated. All 6 shadows go together beautifully. It doesn't matter what you pair it with. You can use 1, you can use 2, you can use all 6 in an eye look. It's gonna look good. This is just beautiful. And I don't reach for this super often, but every time I do, I'm so impressed with it. Essence is a very affordable brand, and they can definitely be hit or miss, but they kind of took the world by storm a couple months ago. Like, no, not even a couple months ago, like last year when they released a bunch of these little 6-pan palettes. I have 3 of them. I have this one, which is Dancing Green. I have Bronze This Way, and also my Rose Will Go On. I really love Bronze This Way. I almost picked that one just because it's so neutral and wearable, and I feel like a lot of people would like that, but I picked Dancing Green because it's just a little bit more of a unique color story. And the fact that these are such good quality and so affordable just kind of blows my mind. They're only $3.99, and you do get 6 shades. You get 3 mattes, 3 shimmers. The mattes are not the best mattes I've ever used in my life. I will give it that, but it's also $3.99. But these shimmers, I would not guess were from like a drugstore palette. If I was like blindfolded and given this palette to try out on my own without knowing it was Essence, I would not guess that this is like a $4 palette. They are just creamy and smooth. They don't have fallout. They last all day long. I know they have quite a few other color stories too. So if you are not interested in this green one, they have blue, they have pink, they have more neutral, like they have a lot of options for you guys. So this one, if you're balling on a budget, or you just like drugstore makeup, or you're just looking for a good affordable palette, it's a good one. Huda Beauty was hard. I love Huda Beauty. I love a lot of her palettes. Like, truly, she's probably one of my favorite brands when it comes to eyeshadows. But I had to give it to the Nude Light Obsessions palette. This is one of the longest eyeshadow palettes I've had in my collection. I want to say we're going on 4 years together, and I am never giving her up. It is the most beautiful palette, in my humble opinion. I could not love this eyeshadow palette more. Like, truly, I know that sounds so dramatic, but everything about it is just perfection. The only shade I don't really use very much is this tan one in the middle. I just don't really have much use for it. But the other 4 mattes and then the 4 shimmers in here are so stinking good. These shimmers are some of the best shimmers that she has. I feel like sometimes she has those shimmers that are more subdued, and that's not what I want from her. I want her Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am shimmers. I love when those are the shimmers she puts in palettes. Again, just a really nice, small, curated color story. Every time I use it, I feel beautiful. Every time I use it, I just love my look. I truly never want to be without this palette. Again, I know that sounds dramatic. They also have 2 other deeper color stories. If this one is too light for you, it is the Nude Light, so that would make sense. So if this doesn't vibe with your skin tone, totally okay. She's got other ones as well. I've heard they're just as good, but just something about this palette, I love it. Alrighty, then we have Juvia's Place. I've had other Juvia's Place palettes in the past that I have decluttered. So right now I only have 2 in my collection. I like both of them. I don't love both of them. I don't reach for both of them too often, but the one that I chose of the 2 was the Nomad by Juvia's Place. I also have the Coral 2 palette, I believe is what it's called. I can't remember off the top of my head. It is a little bit more corally of a color story, but this one is more fall tones. Like I said, this isn't my favorite palette ever. I do like to reach for it in the fall time, but I pretty much make the same look every time I use this palette. I reach into these yellows, these ones right here. Maybe I'll deepen it, and then I only really use this shimmer. I don't use this deeper, darker one. The quality on Juvia's Place is good. I definitely think that I don't think that they have gone downhill over the last couple years. I just feel like other brands have maybe stepped it up. Juvia's Place used to be a really popular eyeshadow brand. A lot of people would rave about them, their mattes, their shimmers. And while they are good, I do agree with that. I just feel like they aren't as hyped up as they used to be. And it kind of makes sense. Their color stories used to be very unique to the makeup, beauty space, and not so much anymore. So I don't know. I definitely don't think that they are as hyped up as they used to be. But this is a really pretty palette. I'm glad I own it. It has survived quite a few declutters, but it's just not one I reach for all the time. Natasha Denona was another hard one because she's got quite a few palettes that I just absolutely love. She's one of my favorite eyeshadow formulations. I love her color stories. I pretty much love every palette I have by her, but the one that I had to choose, Mini Nude. And I know that's like, really? You picked Mini Nude? That's one of her smaller mini palettes. It was only 5 pans. There's not a ton of variation to this, but this is just the most perfect curated little neutral color story. These 2 mattes are absolutely wonderful. They go together perfectly. And then all 3 of these shimmers are stunning. I usually don't reach for this one, but I forced myself to reach for this shimmer a couple weeks ago at this point, and it was stunning on the eyelid, truly stunning. If you can tell, I have pan in this one. I hit pan in eyeshadow. That does not happen very often at all. And then this one is probably one of my most favorite bronzy sort of eyeshadows. The amount of different colors of just sparkle and reflect in it really make it unique in my collection. So when you look at this, you're like, okay, it's just a typical neutral tiny little color story, nothing special about it. Wrong. In my opinion, that is wrong. It is just so curated, so beautiful. It's perfect. It's perfect. I've had this for ever. A really long time. I wore this on Mike and I's honeymoon in Jamaica every single day. I gifted this to my best friend Courtney last Christmas, and she loves it as well. This is just, I think everyone should own Mini Nude. It's so good. McGrath was a little bit easier, but still kind of difficult, if that makes sense. And I chose one that I don't think is available anymore, so I'm very, very sorry about that. But it does seem to come in and out of stock. She'll bring it back and then it goes away. So if it is available, like I said, I'll have it linked. If it's not, I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest. This is my favorite palette from her, so I wanted to include it. And it is the first Bridgerton collab. When I first bought this, I really did not expect to fall in love with it as much as I have. I think the packaging is a little bulky. It's cardboard. It's not the most luxurious packaging that she has, but I can look past that because the 6 shades on the inside are so good. This is the Diamond of the First Water, by the way. Like I said, when I first bought this, I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I do. I bought it to try it out, to have a video on it, to review it for you guys. But I have fallen in love with this palette. This matte is just so silky smooth. This shimmer right here is one of my favorite shimmer shades ever. This special shade up here just adds the most beautiful sparkle and dimension. It does add a little hint of blue, but nothing too crazy to where it's blue on your eyeballs, because blue eyeshadow kind of scares me. These 2 satin mattes are so good. I really, really wish she would bring this formulation in other palettes and not just her 2 Bridgerton palettes, because they are silky and smooth and beautiful. I love them. The only one I don't really care for is this shimmer right here. Nothing really special about it, but the other 5 are just so good. I can look past it. So yeah, I don't think it's available anymore. I know it's probably a pretty random choice for Pat McGrath, but it's my favorite. I love it. All right, I only have 2 from Patrick Ta, and I actually think he only has 2 palettes in general. The Major Dimension 1 palette, and then also the Major Dimensions 2 Rose palette. You guys knew I was going to choose this one, right? It is way better than the first one, in my humble opinion. I think the packaging is better. I think the shades are better. I think the quality is better. Everything about this palette is just perfection in my eyes. Maybe that's a lie, because I don't ever use these 2 cream shades. Never, ever. I don't touch them. But the other 10 eyeshadows, right? Yes. The other 10 eyeshadows are just So good, you guys. I know this is a pricey palette, I know, but these mattes are some of the most smoothest, butteriest mattes I've ever used. They truly look beautiful on the eyes. And then these shimmers, there's something so special about his shimmer formulation. They're a little bit chunky. There might be some fallout on your face, but I can look past that because of how beautiful and dimensional and stunning they look on your eyes. Definitely do your makeup, your eye makeup first if you are into that, or use some sort of glitter primer because they are kind of chunky. But just this color story, it's cohesive. They all go together. They're beautiful. They're stunning. I love it. I know I keep saying that, like I love these palettes, but I guess that's fine because that's the point of this video, right? It's my favorite palette from each brand, but this one is just so good, so good. We only have 3 more palettes to talk about, and I'm pretty sure I got them all, I think. Like I said, all the other brands, I mean, I have obviously a ton of other eyeshadow palettes, but I'm pretty sure all those other brands, I only own 1 palette in them. So next up we have Sigma. I only own 2 palettes from Sigma. I own Enchanted, and then also this one right here called New Mod. I am going to be 100% honest with you guys. I don't know if I like Sigma's eyeshadow formulation, which is a bummer. So I wanted this New Mod palette as soon as it released because I think the color story on this is just absolutely beautiful. Like truly the color story, top notch. I love it. But I'm really glad I was patient and ended up getting this on sale. I want to say I got like 35% off. Like I said, I don't know if I love their formulation. Their mattes are a little bit finicky on me. They show up a lot deeper on my skin tone than they look in the pan, which kind of just throws me off whenever I use it. And then the shimmers, something about their shimmers I don't love. I love the colors they chose, but kind of like the mattes, they show up a little bit deeper on my eyes than they look in the pan, which I'm more partial to a lighter shimmer just because of my skin tone. And also some of their formulations are a little bit more on the toppery side. Some do have more opacity to them, but I'm not sure. Just something about the eyeshadow formulation of Sigma I just can't seem to get on board with. I know you guys asked for a 1 week one palette on this. I know, guys, I'm sorry. I think eventually I will do that for you guys, but the couple of times I've used this, it makes me not want to do a 1 week one palette on it because I'm like, I like never super love the looks that I make with this. Next up we have Sydney Grace. They are another brand that I only own 2 palettes from them. I own the Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson Tiny Marvels palette, which I love that palette. I truly do. It was really, really hard to choose between that one and Enduring Love, but I chose Enduring Love solely because of the color story. Mel Thompson's Tiny Marvels is a beautiful color story, has some very unique shades to it, but it's just a little bit more out there and less everyday wearable, in my opinion. So I chose the Enduring Love palette because these are shades that I would wear more often on the daily basis. Both of them have the most beautiful formulation. Sydney Grace is such a good eyeshadow brand. Their mattes are lovely. Their shimmers are impactful and stunning, last all day long, do not crease, do not patch off, do not fall out on your face. Everything about their eyeshadow formulation is so stinking good to me. And like I said, it was really hard to choose between the 2 of them, but I did choose Enduring Love because this color story is just stunning. I love it so much, but I don't think you could go wrong with either palette. All right, last but not least, we have Viseart. Again, another brand that I only own 2 palettes from. I have their Kashmiri palette. Not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, not my favorite. The color, something about that color story just doesn't vibe with me. So I went ahead and picked the Petite Force and the Lila's color story. This is a really great, cute little quad. It is very curated. You can't really make a ton of different looks out of this because it's only 4 shades. The 2 mattes are pretty similar. The 2 shimmers are pretty similar, but the quality is very nice. The mattes are really nice and smooth, and these shimmers are impactful and out of this world. So I have been a little disappointed with Viseart. They get a ton of hype. A lot of people really, really love their eyeshadow formulation. And of the 2 palettes I own from them, I haven't super been like blown away. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to try more from them in the future. And of the 2, I like this one the best. And that's it, you guys. That was my #1 favorite eyeshadow palette from each different brand that I own more than 1 eyeshadow palette from. Let me know down below, have you tried any of these palettes? Do you love them as much as me? Or if you have a favorite from these brands that I haven't tried or that I didn't mention, let me know as well. I love trying new eyeshadow palettes, so I would love to put them on my radar to possibly try it in the future. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're awesome and I love you. Please subscribe if you have not yet, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye, guys.